Hey, what's going on everyone? NoZoupForYou here, and today I've got a little ranked gameplay, and I'm really excited about ranked now. I've never been really excited about ranked. I don't think anyone really gets excited about ranked, save for maybe ranked sprint battles, because those are actually fun. The game modes, the format, everything about it, 1v1 sometimes, that's fun. But ranked, no one's ever said, hey, I can't wait for the ranked season, can't wait to grind and grind and grind. However, World of Warships has changed things up, and ranked now is actually in a format that I think many people are going to enjoy, or at the very least, they're not going to stress about and just really hate grinding. So the new bronze, silver, and gold leagues, really love the idea. I think I championed something similar to that years ago. So that's what I'm playing now, and I can see myself spending a lot of time doing this. Now, what I'm going to do today and moving forward is I'm going to give reviews of ships that I'm using in ranked gameplay. And you know, this is nice about rank being at tier 8 and then other tiers. It gives me a chance to re-examine ships that, you know, I've used or maybe haven't used a lot recently. And today I've chosen the Tirpitz. And the Tirpitz, you know, it's one of the first premium ships that we ever had. It's been around for ages. I wanted to see how it would do. And I knew it would do well. I mean, it's a Tirpitz. You've got torpedoes, which is one big bonus to the ship. The guns aren't horrible. I mean, they don't hit quite as hard as some of the other tier 8s, like the North Carolina. But the guns do a lot of damage if you catch things broadside, kind of like this Amalfi right here, which I'm going to get a Citadel on. Wish I had got more, but dispersion, still not the best. The main reason I chose the Tirpitz, though, is for its secondaries. And yes, I know that the Bismarck has secondaries that are just as good, but I wanted to take the Tirpitz out because of the torpedoes, and I had this grand vision of just winding up in a brawl against another battleship and absolutely demolishing it when I got in close. But that really didn't happen. And one of the reasons why is, well, you're seeing it right here. The beginning of the onslaught of Asashio torpedoes that are just getting slung everywhere. And we'll talk about the Asashio a little later. I got really fortunate here. I was able to dodge the Akizuki torps and the Asashio torps. The other ship behind me wasn't so lucky. And there we go. There's first kill of the day, first blood right there. Now, I do want to go into what I'm running on the Tirpitz right now. I am running AFT, I am running BFT, and I am running manual secondaries. Everything about the ship I have geared towards secondaries. I wanted to get the secondaries humming as good as they possibly could, with as good as range as they possibly could. And I've just lost my destroyer right here. Still got an Akizuki out here. My other Bismarck is trailing behind me, so I really can't use his hydro. I'm kind of in an interesting situation now, but fortunately there's not much over here. The Bismarck and Kansas on the other team are focusing on B, so that's allowing me to kind of push into A and hopefully cap A. And, you know, in a battleship, especially when it's just 7v7, I hate sitting in the back. I really, really hate it. If you're in battleships and you can get momentum and you can push forward, you can do really, really good. And you can wind up winning fairly quickly. And yeah, I'm going to burn a little bit here. So yes, Tirpitz. I chose it as a secondary battleship. I beefed up the secondaries. I wanted it for the torps. And I thought I could do well in it. And, you know, I'm going to come out and say right now that Tirpitz is not a bad battleship for ranked gameplay. I will say right now it's interesting because the majority of the ships people are playing are battleships, and it took me quite a while to get into this round. Very few cruisers, or players wanting to play cruisers, and you see right here I'm going to take a torp hit from the Asashio. I don't know how far out he is. That's a pretty wide spread right there, so I'm assuming he's not too close. Now, I'm hoping I'm right about that. We've capped A. Other two caps have not been capped yet, though we're trying to take B. So right off the bat, a solo cap, and this Akizuki has reappeared, which he's kind of been a thorn in my side. Wish I had HE loaded, didn't, but that's okay. Overpin right there. Now, you're seeing the downside to the Tirpitz right now, And the biggest downside is that, of course, unlike the Bismarck, it does not have hydro. And this is one of those rounds where I really, really wish I had hydro. And this is actually the type of round that if you play the Asashio, you really, really hope for. Very few cruisers, just one per team, 3 battleships. 3 battleships to hunt down and sling torps at. And it would have been better for him if there were 4 battleships, and there have been some rounds like that. So, Asashio, we'll talk about that ship a little later after these videos get going. I definitely want to review that ship, but, you know, the Tirpitz is not a bad choice for ranked. If you don't have Bismarck, and you spec it towards secondary, which I would recommend doing, you'll do fine in it. I don't recommend... Well, let's take that back. I'm going to walk that back a little bit. I don't think manual secondaries are absolutely necessary. It's something... And got lucky there and dodged those. So I know the Asashio is nearby, and he thought he had me. And, you know, this is just something so important for you battleship players out there, especially if you're newer. You have to vary your speed up. You can't just straight line sail. You've got to go fast. You've got to go slow. You've got to zigzag a little bit. And that most likely will keep you from eating any torps at all, or at least very few. So I don't think the manual secondaries on the Tirpitz are an absolute must. I just chose them because I wanted that extra accuracy. And I think it kind of paid off in this round, or at least helped a little bit. But Tirpitz, the big trade-off again is that hydro. And the big question you got to ask yourself is, are those torpedoes worth not having hydro? In this round, they definitely were not. In this round, I really, really wish I was in a Bismarck, and I really, really, really wished that I had hydro. You see right now, I've got a really good flank on the enemy. I like the path that I chose in this round. Me and the other battleship, actually the other 3 battleships, even though they're lagging behind a little bit. And there's that Asashio, and I know he doesn't have torps ready. So I'm going to put my secondaries on him. I've got HE loaded. I was ready for him. And I was ready for it. That's why I loaded the HE. And don't be afraid to load HE. And I'm going to dodge these torps right here. I'm going to fire some off at him. But again, him being in a destroyer, fairly quick, fairly nimble, I don't think he's going to run into my torpedoes. I am going to keep slaughtering him with my secondaries. And put a fire on him. Feels good killing this Asashio right now. Didn't get him, though. I really wish that I was the killing stroke on him. But you can see now me and the other battleships are kind of grouping up, and we're going to start moving towards B. But, yeah, that's the big question for you. Are the torpedoes worth trading off hydro? And personally, I really don't think so. I think hydro is so much more valuable, and I think that the torpedoes are so much more situational. I really think, you know, and there's a secondary kill right there. That's nice. I really think that the situations in which you can actually use your torpedoes against another ship that is going to run right into them won't happen quite as much as you using hydro to be able to save yourself. I mean, again, I chose the Tirpitz because I had this grand illusion that I would be a lot closer to this Kansas, pushing in on him, firing at him, firing at my torpedoes, and that's just not happening, as you can see right now. It's not. So I really think, ultimately, while the Tirpitz is good if you don't have Bismarck, I'm thinking in most situations the Bismarck is going to be better, and you definitely don't have to take the manual secondaries. And in fact, you might not want to, because if you do wind up in a situation where you've got multiple ships, or at least on both your starboard and your port, you're going to have secondaries popping off at both of them, and likelihood of fires are going to happen, that type of stuff. Whereas if you do use the manual secondaries, yes, you're getting better accuracy, but you're also kind of forced to go against that one ship and only that ship. And we've got the Kansas left. This round's over. We've won it. Secondary's popping off at range. So yeah, the Tirpitz, it's not a bad battleship. I wouldn't put it quite up there with Massachusetts, maybe. Comparable to the Bismarck. If you don't have the Bismarck but you have the Tirpitz, you know, take the Tirpitz in the battle. I mean, you'll do fine with it. Absolutely fine. However, out of the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, both of them, I don't know. I think that it's really circumstantial, and unfortunately, you can never know what's going to happen. So, I think for me, I'd probably rather take the Bismarck. Still, Tirpitz, great ship to take into rank. And there's that final Citadel. Not a high damage round, but I was where I needed to be. I did what I needed to do, and that's the key to rank gameplay right there. If you can do that, you're going to do fine. And as you can see, I wound up at the top right there. I wasn't expecting that. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the Tirpitz. I'll catch you all later. Zoop out.